Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by an Australian polymath of entertainment, whether it's music, comedy, writing, podcasting. This person is always putting smiles on our faces. Welcome to Pario magazine, Em Rusciano.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, we're here today to chat about your journey through the world of entertainment and the upcoming show Outgrown.
hmm
Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a little intro as to who Em is, away from the stage, away from microphones and all of the creative endeavors?
Em is an exhausted mother of three. um, I am currently in the trenches. My 5-year-old son is a big Zelda fan, so my whole life is Zelda at the moment. Um, but I'm a workaholic, so my life and work are very much intertwined. All my job is telling stories about my life. So the writer, singer, podcaster, comedian aspect is never turned off because everything is content.
Mhm.
um, I am the eldest daughter of an Italian immigrant, type A personality, autistic ADHD. So I'm a lot. Does that help? Is that all
That's
the information?
that's very good. Um, with the life and creative all sort of woven in together, how do you find that process and like trying to separate and give yourself your own personal time?
I don't do any creatives. Um, yeah, I if I'm not making things, I find the energy can turn dark quite quickly. So I always like
Mhm.
to have something on the go, some kind of hobby. I also make little clay monsters. Part of ADHD, my hobby is starting hobbies. I've learned that. But I really enjoy creating. So I'm always doing it in some capacity. Otherwise, so there is no break. There is no separation of church and state for me. But that's okay. I don't mind. It makes me happy.
Yep. Yeah, I recently spoke to Nat's What I Reckon, and
Oh, I
his
love him. Yes.
we spoke about his battles with sort of ADD and creativity and how he's just always got something on the go, whether it's
Totally.
planning for a new
Totally.
video, planning a new show, something like that.
I just want to apologize to all of your viewers who can see me. I am barefaced and in active wear. I'm normally a glamorous showgirl. I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. So it's been a few years since you last toured a major live show. Uh,
Mm.
what has life been like in that time since then?
It's been a hellish landscape. I'm from Melbourne, home of lockdowns, and I'm a live performer. So it was a time of self reflection. I also got diagnosed with aforementioned ADHD and found out I'm autistic, and then also uh, found out I was in early menopause. So it's been a hell of a time. Total ego death and a lot of learning about myself and reframing of myself and collecting lots of content and stories and figuring it out. And the way I process my trauma is I get on stage with a band in a leotard and talk about all the things I've learned. But yeah, I think once you hit your 40s, as I have, you do tend to look back over your life and think, okay, that happened because of that. And now I have the reasons why I have the ADHD and the autism, especially that enabled me to reframe a lot of things I thought just made me a crappy person.
Hmm.
Um, it explained so much about my inability to even just maintain friendships with normies. So I think, all the people that are still around me are queer, neurotypical. They've hung on. It's like it's been the Hunger Games and they won. But I'm kind of feel like I'm out the other side in that, I left commercial radio, which was a soul death. And I've got my own podcast studio, my own podcasts, and I'm creating art for people that I love, with people that I love, about things that I love, which is such a sweet spot to be in. And I don't think I would have been able to do that without enduring the last 5 years. So at the time, I would not like to have been going through it, but with the glory of hindsight, I'm grateful for it.
Okay. Yeah. I think that idea of creating something that you love for people that have similar thoughts and similar experiences, I think that's been a shift in media landscape a lot recently. And I think they're the things that are really standing out and people are connecting with.
Yeah. And I learned that I learned that a little while ago, that when I'm just totally being myself and showing up as myself, that is when I'm most successful. And I spent so long trying to contort myself into the media's idea of who I should be, or my boss's idea, or, how I needed to look to be on telly and all of those things. And then when I just let all that drop, um, that's when really success found me and my audience found me, which is strange because we're just women, especially, discouraged from doing that.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not too hard either. I don't have to try very hard to make the stuff I'm making because it's what I'm genuinely into.
Yep. And it's all connected back to your own personal life, so it's not like
Yeah.
you're thinking up something outlandish and fictional. It's just like, this is how
No.
my life is, and sometimes that's the funniest things.
Totally. Yeah, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. It's how I survive it. It's finding the humor. I have a very dark sense of humor, obviously, but yeah.
And what sort of led you down, obviously, to get the ADHD diagnosis and the autism diagnosis? What led you down that path?
The ADHD was with during lockdowns. I guess all the coping mechanisms and all the things that I would use to keep myself busy and occupied as an undiagnosed ADHD, as searching for dopamine, were taken away. And I
Mhm.
really struggled with just everyday life. And I was exhausted and felt like I was in a fog. And I just couldn't do all the normal things. I was achieving a quarter of what I normally would achieve had I had 1,000 things on during the day. So I went to the doctor, and I'm just lucky that I had a doctor who's known me my whole life and was across recent upticks in ADHD diagnosis in women over 40. And he suggested I get tested. Um, and that was before I made ADHD a trend. Apparently, it's my fault after I gave a National Press Club address about it. Um, so yeah, the ADHD one, look, it wasn't much as a surprise for me as the autism diagnosis was. And autism came about because my son is autistic, and during his diagnostic process, I saw myself as a kid in him.
Yep.
So it kind of led me, and so many parents of neurodivergent kids have this story. Um, so the autism diagnosis challenged me immensely, and I didn't talk about it publicly for a while because I don't represent everyone's preconceived notions of an autistic person.
Yep.
I think people think of Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man,
Yep.
and I'm an exhausted mother of three in my 40s. Um, so I've chosen to be so front facing with those two things, especially because representation matters. And the best way to get information out is through stories and art. And so that's why I'm making all of these projects for the neurodivergent community, especially because I'm trying to make the stuff I would have liked when I found out this information about myself.
Yep. And what has it been like dissecting all of these experiences over the last 5 years and trying to find that humor and wisdom
Mm,
to put into this upcoming
mm.
outgrown show?
It was actually easy because I'm not going to get on stage and cry for 90 minutes, which is, if I had have written this show a couple of years ago, that might have happened. Just, a bit of experimental stuff. Um, it's actually been easy now. I feel like I'm out the other side of it, to find the light spots and not shy away from the hard things. But yeah, ultimately, it's led me to feeling the most who I am and the most happy. And, every day's different. I'm certainly not Pollyannaing this and saying, la la, everything's great. It's not. I cried 3 times yesterday, but it's enabled me to see how far I've come and all the things I have learned, and being able to cherry pick the useful stuff. I've also made a podcast called Anomalous, which came out last week, and it's my love letter to the neurodivergent community and a roadmap for neurotypical ones. Again, I wanted a neat bow 5-episode resource that was funny and palatable and informative for people, because it's so confusing and overwhelming when you find out you're ADHD autistic. And there's so much on the internet, and I wished I had have had this one-stop shop, which is what I've made. And the live show will also be, a lot of that, but, a lot of saluting women over 35 and what they go through in society. And there'll be puppets, and I don't know, just I want people to walk away from experiencing something I've made feeling like they know themselves a bit better and feeling a bit lighter. Because I know what it is to cry yourself to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
Um, but to answer your question, God, I can go on. it's been a huge catharsis, which is ultimately why I do the things I think to help people and make myself feel better.
Yep. And I imagine a lot of the sort of neurodivergent resources before your podcast were very dry as well. So this is a nice change.
Dry, yes, and just not friendly, bit ableist. You tell somebody who has executive functioning issues and doesn't quite know where to start and has 2,500 unopened emails because it's so overwhelming. You then give them the entire World Wide Web and say, "Here, go find stuff." It's like you just get that analysis paralysis. I remember just feeling tired and overwhelmed, and I would Google like diagnosis ADHD at what would come up. And again, I always look around and try and find something, and then I see the thing I'm missing and think, well, if I'm missing it, there's a chance there's a huge chunk of people also missing it. And queer neurodivergent, female neurodivergent, AFAB neurodivergent, people of diverse backgrounds are chronically underserved. If you're not a straight white guy, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Um, so I just made a thing, and turns out people were very thirsty for it. Who'd have thought? It's not niche. Also, the idea that half the population are going to go through menopause. It's not a niche topic that I'm hitting on here. It's just underserviced.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's I'm glad people are hearing Anomalous and getting from it what I hoped they would. And I know this live show is going to do the same. And much like after I did the press club, a lot of people reached out and said, "Thank you for seeing me." But yeah, I hope my resources are entertaining but informative.
Brilliant. So then as we look ahead to the Outgrown tour, which is sort of taking you all over the country from places like Toowoomba right through to all the capitals, Wollongong, Ballarat, Bunbury, Albury. How are you feeling ahead of the tour?
Great. I think this is the first tour I'm enjoying. I'm not enduring and surviving. I don't have a lot of memories of the other one because I was doing breakfast radio through a couple of them, which was harrowing. This is getting my full authentic self, as gross as that sounds. And I'm allowing myself moments of just being in the moment, being like, girl, you're putting on a whole national tour in some big ass theaters. This is something you've created. And for people that need it, and you're doing it with people that you love, with my own production company is doing it. I'm fully, for the first time, kind of in control of my career. And it's just been, yeah, I'm really enjoying it, I think, for the first time in my whole career.
Do you think that also is a uh, benefit of the new life context that you're in following the various
Yeah,
diagnoses?
totally. I am not trying to figure out who to show up as. I think a lot of my life has been assessing situations and figuring out which version of Em needs to front up.
Mhm.
Whereas now I don't have to think about it. I don't have to act or perform, even though I am a performer. I feel very free. I have a really rock solid lens, to apply to everything now. And is this helping me face who I really am, or am I facing away from her? Um, so yeah, it's the most free I've felt creating in a very long time.
Is that sort of the biggest change to tour preparation?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Not wondering, oh, will this be okay? Or will that be okay? But also, it's energizing me. I think the last time I prepped for a tour, it really drained me. But now, when I come off of meetings and we're picking lighting stages and colors and sounds, we're doing a lot of soundscaping and working with my music director. I'm fully present. I'm not like half at other meetings and trying to run off and do something else. There's space. I'm allowing myself space and grace with this project, which has been like a whole new experience, whole new world.
Brilliant. So the best place to get tickets and all the info, emrusciano.com. But
Yes, or
where is
Frontier Touring. Yeah, Frontier
Yep,
Touring have got all the dates because there's 16 dates. So if you go to frontiertouring.com/Em Rusciano for Outgrown. If you want to listen to Anomalous, that's on Spotify, Apple, everywhere. And I'm prolific online. If you just go to Instagram, Facebook, search Em Rusciano, I'm there harassing everyone.
perfect. Alrighty, I think that's everything I'll need. Thank you so much and good luck with the tour.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm sorry I look like I do.